The President's recently announced energy statements are typical of the response we have come to expect from political leaders. They suggest programs which are headlines but out of date, and couple unrelated problems to a way to be self-serving, in this case, the energy crisis and governmental corruption. The President's solutions have been obvious to almost everyone for some time. They are: cut back on useless waste energy, increase the production of known energy resources, relax environmental controls. But he did not address himself to the environmental problems and energy problems at the same time, which is precisely the reason Congress has taken the time for consideration of the proposed legislation on these inseparable issues. He did not address himself to the consequences of scraping off substantial topsoil in Montana, which may create problems for thousands of years, in order to increase coal production so that we may be warm and pollute the air for another 150 years, to the disposal of radioactive waste generated in enormous quantities by nuclear power generation, the pollution generated by implementing either nuclear or coal-burning power plants. Thank goodness Congress has taken the time to consider the environmental problems and the energy problems simultaneously. The President has finally come to the right conclusion in one respect. We do have an energy crisis. Most Americans have known this for some time, and the oil producers say that they have been predicting it even longer. But the way to combat the problem is not by flailing wildly, destroying the environment, but rather to be deliberate in our solutions, accepting the results of our excesses where necessary. I suggest we immediately take steps: 1, to reduce the consumption of fossil fuels even more drastically, that we leave the Alaskan oil in its present unpolluting state until we can be sure that the energy obtained is worth the environmental risk, that we curtail the expansion of electric energy generating plants until we know the radioactive and chemical pollution from these generators can be held at an acceptable level. And finally, that we direct our resources in efforts to bring solar and fusion energy sources to the research and development stage so that we can see the impact of these sources on our environment. We can only know the impact of such resources as we implement their use. A piece of coal does not pollute until it is burned for energy, and you can be sure the same will apply to solar and fusion energy sources. The President's energy policy seems too little and too late. This President should cease treating the American people as children. If properly led, they have the ability to solve the inseparable energy and environmental problems confronting mankind.